Connie Willis, the podcast. Taking you into new ways of thinking, even providing answers to questions you've often pondered. Connie Willis, the podcast. This is a Connie Willis exclusive. What you're about to hear has never been heard anywhere else. This is Connie Willis, the podcast. Bring it on, Connie.
You got it. Connie Willis here. Connie Willis, the podcast, ConnieWillis.com. You can go there for all sorts of information concerning me and what shows are going on and what's happening and what is next. And also get on my email list, because then I can tell you what else is coming up, what's happening, and any special discount prices like Blue Rocker specials and things like that I can get for you along the way. I try to do that. Always got to take care of each other. Thanks for supporting me, especially with Connie Willis, the podcast, and also supporting Rob Treat, our guest. Robert, we were talking about the bug-like creature that Lynn Buchanan saw, and you guys can read it in his Seventh Sense book about it, or go back to any archives with me and Blue Rock Talk, or even Coast, because I always ask them about it. I think it's funny. But you think you might have something to say about the bug people?
Yeah, I'm not aware of them being an alien race, but if I had to put money on it, I would say that I know that we as in the human cabal and also countries independently, we've been trying to genetically engineer life forms for off-world colonization, space travel, etc. So I would say that those bug creatures doing the paperwork were probably prototype genetic hybrids. They didn't work out for whatever program, so they put them to work doing paperwork. That's the kind of thing that they would do. Absolutely. We think we can just go to Mars and colonize it. We're not built for Mars. We're not built for space travel. Like, the human body's built for Earth. And if we did send colonists to Mars, within 2 generations, their children wouldn't be able to come to Earth. It would crush them. This planet would crush them.
Absolutely. I agree.
So genetically engineering, life forms with human attributes capable of surviving those environments, that is something they're up to.
Remember, go to robtreat.com, TREAT.com, with the Rob there. All right, so Neil the Newbie, one of our Blue Rockers, had asked you this, and again, we've got a good amount of questions, so I'm gonna ask for your headlines where you can go in a little deep. Just do what you can. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Neil, not a newbie, and I believe you answered this in the show on Blue Rock Talk. Those of you that want to go back and see that and see Rob Treat for yourself, then go to ConnieWillis.com and become a Blue Rocker, or you can also look and see where that is. I think I have it on the front page. If not, I better do that. And you can see the 2-night show that we put together, 4 hours of Rob talking to you. Neil was wondering if you could elaborate on the Pope thing. In fact, you know what? You did. You went deep into the Pope thing because he didn't understand what you were talking about. And you did go deep into it. So let's just save it to where people can go to that, because otherwise we'll repeat a lot of things along the way, right? So if you want to, go to ConnieWillis.com, look for the Blue Rock Talk, sign up for the show, and then you can see those. Or if you say, hey, I just want to see that particular 2 nights, I got to make sure it's up there on the front page, just in case it isn't. But it should be, and if it is, that's where it is. It is up there. You'll see Rob's picture. It is there, and click on it, and you can go there. Walkin' Walt had asked, does the Cabal have one healing machine? Oh, that's right. You answered that too. But let's do this. He wanted to know about the healing machines and the secret of free energy.
Yeah, the healing machines, I don't think that they have them. They're probably working on them, and they more than likely have prototypes, but as a reliable thing, I don't think they have them. And the reason I don't believe they have them is one, I've never seen them. Um, but two, just because I didn't see them doesn't mean they don't exist. But the other reason is, um, some of these elites, you wouldn't see them dying if those machines existed.
The secret of free energy.
The secret of free energy, I don't believe that they have the secret of free energy because I don't think they understand energy yet. Um, there are many devices, many devices that produce nearly free energy. Um, as it stands right now, every device, no matter how efficient, still requires some sort of input. Um, so, the secret to 0 point energy, no, we're not there yet, but we are extremely close. And I know firsthand that those devices that are extremely close, what I would, call nearly free energy, are immediately suppressed. Those who don't give in to being bought out, or voluntarily suppress their own data, are they usually have their lives ruined and are often pushed into alcoholism and suicide.
Do you believe the cabal is connected to Satan in order to keep world power?
They're connected to what we would call Satan, yes.
Is the current pope the last pope?
I believe that the last pope was John Paul. Um, what we have now is somebody that's filling the office of the pope. And this pope is more than likely going to be the last pope that we ever know of. The reason I say that is the way he's acting. We never thought in a million years we'd see a woke pope. But the church admitting to the existence of extraterrestrials, um, embracing political ideology, which is not something they traditionally do. Um, I would say the Vatican knows something's. I would say anything that's known, the Vatican's going to know is coming. So, their behavior now is what tells me that we may see this alien invasion or the actual coming within this generation.
Just Jamie says or asks, it seems like the elites all have dirt on each other. Did they try to get any on you, put you in bad situations?
Yes, they absolutely have dirt on each other. That's the way their world operates. In fact, giving up dirt on yourself is one of the requirements. They want you to tell a dirty secret, which I didn't really have any. And I think if they would have got something on me, they would have used it. But I never cheated on my wife. They never were able to get anything on me. They tried to threaten me with a tax violation, and they weren't able to make that stick. After 4 years of poking into my life, all they found was one paycheck I didn't include on my tax return in 1997. Yeah, that's it.
Do reptilians have a different aura?
I don't know. I mean, I can't see auras. Do they give off a different vibe? Like what I would call a vibe? Yeah. And if I could see auras like some psychics do, I would say they probably do give off a different aura.
Just Jamie also asked, were you ever recruited by Mensa?
No, I got the application packet that you're supposed to fill out, and I started it and never finished.
Do the elites use 23andMe to search for certain bloodlines? What are they looking for?
I don't know. I don't know if they're searching for certain bloodlines, but they do collect all that data from every potential source of DNA, including blood banks. If you can surrender it voluntarily, but yeah, they collect as much DNA data as possible.
Mike Patterson asked, of Sasquatch, Ontario, is there a way to pick the reptilians out of a crowd? Any telltale signs?
Yes, you'll get a very liminal feeling with these guys. if you can imagine seeing a robot that was totally human looking, right? That would be the feeling it would give you, like going into an empty mall or an empty parking lot at the airport. You kind of it's familiar, but it just kind of creeps you out.
Hmm.
That's them. Yeah. It looks human, but it doesn't feel human.
So it's more of a energy and a feeling around it, the ambiance of it. Is there anything like a pinched up ear or something different
No,
when they look like humans?
no, they're very convincing. They don't look wax-like. They look just like anybody else. You never snap other than um, some of you kind of like when they blink, it's like you almost see something, um, but you can't quite prove it. Um, but that creepy feeling of it is just not. You know, we we know other biological and other humans, and we know when something's just not right. And that's about the only way you can really tell with these things is you're just very, very uncomfortable and creeped out, even though they're acting completely charming, right?
Just a little odd, huh?
They're totally friendly, totally charming, very sophisticated, worldly. It's just something about them. It's just creepy.
It's Connie Willis, the podcast. This is a Connie Willis exclusive on Connie Willis, the podcast.
Going back to our questions, we have that we're barreling through these, and very good questions. These are actually by Blue Rockers, and we're giving them to Robert Treat. These are the ones that didn't get answered because we had so many things happening, and that's where Rob also told some things. He said, okay, I'm not going to be vague in some of these areas. I'm going to blow some of them out the door. So he did that, and we're hoping for more of that too. Here's Dwayne Dietz had a question. Connie, ask Robert, is the secret of Oak Island mystery more than treasures of gold and gems?
Oh, you just hit on my favorite mystery and the one that gets up my crack worse than anything. Is that those guys drive me nuts. It's like every time I watch it, I'm like wanting to yell at them. You're doing it wrong.
Do you have any answers of that? And what do you think they should do? I love the show too.
Yeah, there is definitely something on Oak Island. However, they're digging around on Oak Island. They have absolutely no understanding of Templar construction techniques. If they spent 5 minutes learning how the Templars built things, they'd be able to figure that thing out.
Well, they listen to people. You can figure it out and send it to them. Probably get a piece of it.
I emailed them, and I even offered them. I lost this when my storage unit got auctioned off last year. But I had a piece of deep earth scanning equipment. I could scan down 60 feet for cavity detection, real-time 3D imaging too. Right, this was a custom built, $18,000 piece of hardware that I had built for my treasure hunting days. I could not only image a cavern from the surface, but I could image everything in the cavern. Right, so if there was
wow, excellent.
A cave with a treasure chest sitting in the corner, I could image the cave and the chest, right? And it would also tell me what was likely in the chest, right?
Wow.
So I even offered them that equipment because I got tired of seeing that guy sweeping around with his little piddly metal detector.
I love him, and I love that. It's so great. Yeah, that's how fun is that to find those little things?
I do too, but those standard metal detectors are only going down like 11 inches. Okay?
I know. But, it's also a show, right? They got to...
they got to milk it.
Yeah. But, hey, I hope that they eventually answer that because, hey, lots of people write. So, no, you have no answers to that as of right now, but you want to get there because you have equipment that you could or get and use and say, let's do this, right?
Yeah.
But you talk about the Templars all the time, so, that's the island, right?
Yeah, well, since I was, working for one of their, descendant organizations, I, studied, Templar history, which there were a lot of, documents and books available to me. And if they looked into how that was, how that was constructed and understand the purpose for it, like thinking Shakespeare's manuscripts are in there, Shakespeare wasn't that important in his day, right? So his manuscripts weren't considered treasures back in that period. They're treasures to us now, but not then, right? So no, they're not burying that. It was a stash for something else. Um,
Paula Wright, a Blue Rocker. Is there a Space Force agency located in Alaska?
Probably. Um, I don't know specifically. I think we talked about that on the show. Alaska is a great location for that kind of activity, but I never served up there, so I have no personal knowledge of that.
Sue asks, does the elite, or do they, already control our weather?
Yes, and America's not the only country that does it. Russia's got their weather control systems too.
You're saying it's really not for good; it's more for weaponry.
Well, yeah. I mean, we know it publicly as HAARP, HAARP, High Altitude Auroral Research Project. That thing's a weather control device, and you used to be able to log on to the HAARP website and see what they're firing off. And there was a little chart, a legend key at the bottom right of the web page, and it would tell you each HAARP station. You could see what kind of output, and you could cross-reference to the key as to what kind of effects you're likely to experience as a result of that energy output. So a certain, this level of energy would produce a hurricane or tornadoes or trigger volcanoes. And we could actually create hurricanes and steer them into the target we want.
Sue asks, the news we receive on media, or from the media every day, is that fed down to us from the elite to keep us in chaos, confused, controlled?
Absolutely. Everything in the media is controlled by a very small group. And there's a lot of evidence that you can go and look at. When every single station's repeating the exact same story using the exact same language. Come on, somebody's writing that for them.
Sue asks, over the eons, do you feel there have been many Jesus figures?
Not on that level. Over the eons? Oh, yes. Everything from, Dionysus, for example, you can see the same story appear in lots of cultures. The Jesus story appear throughout cultures. Seems to be a ubiquitous figure. Born of a virgin, had 12 disciples, crucified, died, resurrected. That story repeats itself through a lot of times. I'm not saying they're not true. They're probably all true.
Is our president, this is back with Sue, one of our Blue Rockers, is our president, whoever's current, and administration controlled by the elite?
The president is nothing more than just a figurehead, an actor.
He's a face.
He's just a face to for the public to recognize. He has no real power, no real authority. He can't do anything that his masters don't let him do, and they look at him as they refer to him as a transient official.
So then, yes, he and the administration, they're controlled by them.
Yeah,
you would say yes. Okay.
There's only been one since Kennedy that wasn't controlled by them, and that caused a big mess.
Oh, Trump?
Yeah, that was spoiler.
And and Kennedy, and that's why he got assassinated?
Yeah, Kennedy was not going to toe the line or go along with his handlers.
Yeah. Sue comes back and says, do the elite want our civilization to crash and burn? We seem to be going downhill fast.
Yes, the elite want us to crash and burn um, in the same way that they've crashed and burned us many times before. Um, every country is going to get it sooner or later with these guys. We saw it with Russia, and people think that Russia just got tired of communism, right? No, no, no. It's their entire economy was fictitious, same as ours is now. Like the Russian economy, for example, they'd say, "Oh, we made 1 million linear feet of glass this month." What they didn't say is 900,000 linear feet broke coming off the assembly line. It's like, well, we made 100,000 tractors, only 100,000 ran, right? Um, 90% of what they were producing was garbage and just there for the numbers, not based in reality. And our economy is the same way. We're propped up. We're starting to see the effects of it in rapid inflation. Um, the best way is you collapse a civilization. You start. It's whenever they do that, it's almost always to cover up a financial crime.
Sue then goes on to ask, Blue Rocker, global warming, is this a natural cyclical thing, or are we humans causing it, or something else?
Um,
Or a lie?
it's definitely a cyclical thing because if you look, especially the British records on weather are the most accurate because they've been keeping records on the weather for a very long time, accurate records too. So we can see that the planet heating up and cooling down is a normal cycle. And I mean, one of your listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking it was around the 1400s, maybe 1300s, somewhere. We had a mini ice age that lasted for a few years. Um, so it's happened in our own recorded history where we've had little ice ages. There was no summer for like 3 years or something. Um, cattle were dying. There was nothing to eat. It was very bad. And I think that I believe, correct me on the time frame, but I believe that's during what we call the Dark Ages, right? Um, so it's definitely cyclical. Do I think humans are causing it? We may be having a tiny, tiny effect, um, but it's mostly on our own environment, not the planet. Um, are sea levels going to come wash us away because of what we're doing? No. Um, I think it happens periodically when the Earth shifts its axis a little bit. We're going to have global flooding. Um, so global warming's partly true, mostly false.
Rockin' Robin, one of our Blue Rockers, asked, when on the alien vessels have you ever noticed any symbols or writing of some sort while you were there?
Yeah, I've noticed symbols, and I've noticed symbols. I've noticed writing. Um, no language that I understand. Nothing that resembles anything I've seen in the human lexicon. Um, and I've even studied some ancient and dead languages. But it's very Spartan. Like it's not everywhere. It's very sparingly do you see anything labeled or written down.
And this is a question she asked before, and you did answer it, but I think it was an interesting answer. Do you remember noises in relation with the visitations? Hums, pops, squeaky doors, and smells.
I remember hums. The hum was deep, was a very comforting hum. It's a noise I liked. Um, smells, yes. Mostly a smell of like gunpowder was the most common smell. Another common smell was a little bit sulfury. And like I said before in that segment was I don't know if it's the air from I guess whenever you travel across space you got to take air with you, right? So the smell is probably from the smell wasn't from the craft. It was just kind of in the air. It was probably some sort of chemical oxygen system that produced that smell, or it's the smell of the air from the planet they got it from.
Hmm. So, Booberry, another Blue Rocker, asks, do couriers open lockers at airports and collect documents in yellow envelopes?
Yes.
How
Yellow,
many times did you do that?
a lot. it was rarely a yellow envelope. You know, if there were yellow envelopes, they were usually inside of a brown paper grocery bag that was stapled shut. Um, and there was usually two because they leave your money and your payment in there too. So um, like most of my pickups and drops were two brown grocery bags. Um, One was for me and one was to deliver.
I think you need to like figure out where these areas are again, somehow, so you can go and snag you a little,
Yeah, they
don't
don't have
isn't that the retirement for you or anything?
yeah, they don't have lockers at the airports and bus stations anymore. So, but I guess what they Cash App it now? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you said there were other little areas that you could go, and they just have that money somewhere. So, man, I wish you could find. There should be a
They're
box out there
probably
for retirement.
they're probably renting hotel rooms. That was another thing is, you check in with a certain name and you're given a key to a particular room and there's what whatever you need or whatever it is waiting for you in the room. That's probably how they're still doing it. Um,
Amazing.
the lockers at airports were occasionally used. It was mostly lockers at subway stations and Greyhound stations. Less security.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Wow. Okay, one last question we'll ask you with the question and answer. I know there's a whole lot more out there. Thank you so much, you guys, and it's just been like bombarded. So now you know what you can do is go to robtreat.com and you can ask him there. So Erica, one of our Blue Rockers, in fact, she's our Blue Rock cop outside, the suburbs of Chicago. Also one who went with me on Project Creepy Hotspots with Blue Rock Talk, and it was all about, going up to the Rockies and seeing a Bigfoot, and she did. And she did. It was amazing. She turned, we were sitting inside the RV. She looks off to her left. I'm on her right. And then she turned her head back around and she goes, I just saw a Bigfoot. And then we also had some other adventures while we were there. The nice handprint was left behind. And we had some sheepdogs around. And they had a busy night running one of them off right next to us, apparently right, and it was right where the handprint was. Anyway, it's amazing. You can go to Blue Rock Talk and check out the creepy hotspot with Erica there, our Blue Rock cop. I'm trying to think, you'll see a picture of a handprint, I think. I can't remember what we might have called that episode. It's in the Blue Rock Vault. So she has a great little question. At one point you had said, Robert, that the sun, it's a stargate. It's a star. It's a stargate. This is how you go in and out of different universes, I believe is how you stated it. And so her question is, so are solar flares them entering and exiting our sun?
I think, yeah, the craft could trigger solar flares, but most solar flares are just like power surges, like you experience in your home power grid, um, because that's what that's what stars are. They're massive energy devices. So they surge and pulse, and but that's why the Greys and the Forerunners use them as travel portals. They're not solid. Um, so when they enter into a star, that's the propulsion that takes them, interstellar, not out of the universe. Um, but the bigger the star, the more power, the farther they can go. So like a small star like ours would take them as far as the next major star system, which say Alpha Centauri, right? So they kind of leapfrog across the galaxy from star to star. A big one will jump them farther than a small one.
That's just cool. That's just plain cool. The
But
Stargate. You're like, that's why they call it a Stargate. It's a
yeah,
Stargate.
that's a Stargate. The portals are something different.
Yeah,
Right?
yes.
right? So a lot of times the nomenclature gets mixed up. They call a portal a Stargate when it's not. The Stargate is the big hot thing you see in the sky.
And a portal?
A portal, I'm not really sure what those things do.
Is it dark?
But I know a lot of beings use them. It's not just the Greys, but other things use them too. And I don't know what those other things are.
Portal's like a shortcut, even.
There's the things called,
or the black hole would be. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
The portals, the shadow people use those too, and I have no idea what those shadow people are, but they are real.
They're real. You've seen them. Them.
I've been attacked by one. I had my throat crushed. I've got medical records to back that up too. The thing choked me so hard it broke my hyoid bone. I couldn't talk for 3 weeks.
A shadow man?
Yes.
Where was this?
There was witnesses. This is in the attic of the house I had on Lake Houston.
All right, hold that thought.
Informant. What you just heard has never been heard anywhere else. This is Connie Willis, the podcast. Informant. Learn more about Connie, her guests, and be sure to join her private membership shows, Blue Rock Talk and Connie After Dark, at ConnieWillis.com. Whistleblower.